Okay, hi guys, welcome to this channel, QA Roadmap. My name is Custodio, and today we are going to talk about how to create a BDD, how to write a BDD. This is the first live session that I'm doing here on this channel, and I think that the content here is gonna be good for you that just starting starting working with automation, or just wanted to become a good automation, a good test automation, or for you that are just a manual tester and would like to work as a QA engineer. Sometimes the BDD is just the first contact of these guys. If you are just one of these guys, maybe you have just the first contact with test automation through BDD, or you are just uh, have some contact, start working with APIs, or sometimes you start working or have the first contact with, for example, let's say, or some kind of method or a language. I don't know, a lot of things, but the BDD is certainly one of the first contact of the world of automation, of test automation. So what we are just doing here is just knowing how to start working with this, and why you have to pay attention in some things when you just are creating some BDD, just to help you on your automation. Okay, let's start it with this. If you don't know what is a BDD, BDD is just the evolution of TDD. Let's see here. For example, in the test, what is the test development, driven development? You can understand that the development will be based on the tests. Will be. And the difference of TDD, because the evolution, BDD is just an evolution, behavior driven development, the development can't be based on the tests, right? This is just the difference, because TDD, you start working through the tests. For example, you just make the JUnits. If you work with Java, you work with the unit test first, and before the development team start working. For example, for some kind of a web page with login, and you have a login, and you have a field with log to fill with the characters, and you have the password, and you have a button just to log in into a website. So the TDD, you're gonna give you the guide. Look, I want, for example, you made a test for the username field. You make a test for the password field, and you make a test for the button, and you see if no, this flow is okay. And the BDD, what is a BDD will make? You can use on the, like, for example, in the TDD, after the code is developed, and after the code is developed. For example, you can use you will see here on this live session, you understand better what I am saying. For example, you can use on the start to make a develop, but the TDD to start a development, but the TDD you can't use and after, because it's just like, for example, a JUnit or a PyUnit. It's just a unit test, and the BDD we work on the behavior, on the whole system. It's more flexible to use. You can use before and after to test, to see, to cover all the things in the process, and you make a lot of scripts, right? BDDs, for example, some kind of a scripts that you can reproduce, for example, using using a person, or using a guy that wants to log in. What kind of things that a user will do to log in that page? And there's a lot of things the user can use. For example, non-characters, special characters, and you can use numbers, for example. If you have a lot of test cases, it's more flexible to use BDD. Okay, you will understand better when we just put the hands on. Okay, so let's go here. Let me put you the right thing here that we want. Yes, we are gonna use, for example, as a IDE, we are gonna use IntelliJ, right? So I don't know if you were just seeing my picture. Yeah, what we are gonna use to write our BDD. We are gonna use this. For example, I've just created this. This screen here is a, for example, mock test or a mock website. Okay, just for you to see what we are gonna work, right? Let me just open for you the documentation. Let me find it here. Okay, I put it right here just for you to understand, right? We are gonna use here this user case, right? Oh, sorry, we are gonna use here this use case, right? Look, I am an admin user. I wish to show students how to create a BDD file to be used on the development phase or test phase, right? This thing here is my goal, okay, that I want to achieve. I'm a admin user and I want to show the students how to create a BDD to be used in the development phase or test phase. What is the acceptance criteria? You can see here that I just described all the things from this screen here, right? The drop down example, the input write example, and the click on a button example, right? I just used this information to make my acceptance criteria here, right? What is my first acceptance criteria? I need to display test automation test on the screen. This is my first acceptance criteria. Given I wish to select an option in drop-down, when I click on the drop-down menu and select the item first option, then the test automation text is displayed on the screen. Let's put our hands on and just understand what I just read in the documentation. Given I wish to select an option in drop-down, the drop-down exists? Yeah, this is here. When I click on the drop-down menu, let's go back there. When I click in the drop-down menu, you can see here the first option, right? I don't know if you can see here. I'm just checking. Let me see here. I think it's just kind of low. I don't know. But let's see here. First option. When you click here in the first option, right, and select the first option, then the test automation text is displayed on the screen. Let me see here. When you click on the first option, the test automation text is displayed on the screen. This is just our first BDD that we are gonna create, okay? And I'm gonna explain to you step by step. You can, if you see here this text here, if you see here this acceptance criteria, you can just, for example, I just made it more optimized just for you to understand, right? Let me just put the whole text that I am having here, and I'm just Control V, Control C, Control V here, okay? Given. And I want to select here, okay? If you see here in my IntelliJ, you can see that I just wrote the same thing that we have here on the acceptance criteria, right? You can see here, you can put a scenario, right? You can just fill with scenario. What is the scenario? Display test automation text on the screen. All right. let's control V this here. It's just the scenario explained to you. This is just the first scenario that we have to work in automation, right? Let me just explain you this kind of thing here. Let me just explain you this guy. You have here, given I wish to select an automation in drop down. Why? This is just a thing that you need to always make a fit in automation. Make a fit, what I'm doing, or what I'm talking about is to make a fit with the oh, for example, let me just refresh this page here. If you have to fit the text that you have here, right? I wish to select an option drop down to make a method to just automate this thing here, right? When you're just working with automation, for example, in UI automation, you need to check if the element drop down exists, if it's here. If it's here, how you can just make a method to check if the element exists. You can just put it right here. I wish to select an option in drop down. In other live sessions, I'm gonna put our hands on and work with automation, with real automation. In this video, we are just working on the BDD, okay? Just understanding what is a BDD. So you have here, just to facilitate the automation, right? To check if the element exists, right? Second step here, when I click on the drop down menu, when I click drop down menu, you will create another method for that. A method, let me go there. A method to check first, and then a method to check to just make the drop down open, right? And I click on the drop down menu. You can just put it here and open, for example. Okay, no problem. You click drop down menu and wait for the menu to open. Wait for the menu to open. But you can just put it here. But you can just for my conception of this kind of thing here is just you have here an end word. It's just the same here that we have here, and I just understand as another step, right? You can put it here. It can be good for you, but in my conception, this is if you just put the thing, the word here, and it represent for me another method to create, right? And it's just a step that for me is not so useful, okay? But you can put it here. So let's move on, and I say here, when I click the drop down menu and the menu open, and select the item first option. When you select the item first option, you will create another method for this. You click here, your method, just remembering here. You check if the element exists. You click on the menu, drop down menu, and you just select this option. Selecting this option is just to click, right? And you just click this option, and then finally the test automation text is displayed on the screen, and you will just get this text here and check if this text is in the displayed on the screen, right? This is just the first scenario we just wrote here. Sorry. Let's write the second example here. Let me just take the documentation. What is the second acceptance criteria? Display I'm learning BDD on text on screen. Let's click here to copy and paste on my IntelliJ. Okay, let's put the name here. It is another scenario, right, that we have here. Let me put it here. Oh, let me just delete these things here. Let me just delete here. Put it. Okay, that's good. Right, the second scenario that we have here to work on our BDD is display I am learning BDD text on screen. How we are gonna do this? Given I wish to write some data on input, let's go on the page here, input record example. I wish to write some data on input. I wish to write, for example, some data. Right? I write some data on input, and when I write some data on the input, I wish to write some data. It's not well written here, but I think you understand, right? I wish to write some data on input, and when I write some data on the input, I write some data on input, right? First, we can check if the element is here, sorry, and then when I write some data on input, right, I write data on input, and click on the button submit and click on this button, then the text I am learning is displayed on the screen. When I click on this button, the text I am learning BDD is displayed on the screen. Okay, that's it. Let's check, right? Given I wish to write some data on input, you can put it here. When you just write a method, you write a method to check if the elements are here, right? And when I write some data on input, you are going to force some writing here. Okay, you're going to write here on you create a method to force some write here. And when I click on the button submit, right, when you click on the button submit here, you're going to create a method to click this button here, submit, and then the text I am learning BDD is displayed on the screen. You will write some method to get this text here that is written on the screen. Okay, let's go to the third example here. This third acceptance criteria. The scenario is display I am a QA engineer text on the screen. Let's copy and paste there on our IntelliJ. Yeah. Let me just organize it here. And the third scenario that we have here is display I am a QA engineer text on the screen. All right. Let's check our steps. Given I wish to click on the button who are you? If I wish to click, I go here. I wish to check first if the button who are you is on the screen. You're gonna check if this button exists. Oh my god. Okay. And the second step, when I click on the button who are you, and you will create a method to click on this button, one to check and the other to click on this button, then the text I am a QA engineer is displayed on the screen. When you click check if the button is here, when you click, the text I am a QA engineer is displayed on the screen. That is nice. You can see here that the QA engineer, I'm a QA engineer text was displayed on the screen. So you're gonna create a method for this, right? Well, what you need to consider when you are just writing a BDD. As I said before, you have to check and you have to just make to ease the pain of automation. Depending on the things that you have in the use case or in the story, I don't know what kind of a methodology you are working in your company, or working with someone, or working for just for yourself, I don't know. You have to ease the pain of automation, just just to make the more detailed possible, right, and more logical possible. What I'm talking about, what do I mean saying that's more logical? And to just divide the steps into logical steps, right? Check, for example, in this example I just used, we used now. You are just check if the element is there. You are gonna make a method for this. You are gonna check, or you're gonna check if the drop down is working. If you just click on the drop down, right? Or you just write on this on the input, or you just click the button. You must more logical possible and more objective, right? More straightforward possible. And then you check if the text is there. The check in our case, right? You're gonna check if the text is there due to our action or previous action. Okay, the more objective and more straightforward you and detailed, some kind of detail you could be, you can be, is better for you, right? In our example that we are just working here, and sometimes in the story or in the user story or the acceptance criteria is not written like this. I just wrote this BDDs here like this for you, just for you to understand what kind of thing that you need to do to ease your pain, right? You are gonna be more logical. For example, in the test automation, to check if the element, if you just click on this, for example, I wish to select an option to drop down. If you just make the connection of this method to check if the element is there, you can just make a use of reuse, right? You can make a use of reuse because you don't need to check if the element, all the kinds of element separatedly is there. For example, you can just you need to check if this makes sense for you. Okay, if you have the velocity, you have the if you have the requirements for that, right? If you have a better better analysis, I'm sorry, better analysis, and if it makes sense for you, just use this thing, right? Whereas, for example, you can just create just one method to check if the element is there, right? And then the second step, for example, using here, I click on the drop down menu. You can just use this if you have a big, for example, use of drop down menus in your system. You can use the method for a lot of functionalities, right? Here, and the third step, to select the items. For example, you can create a method to select a lot of items, right? Not just this item here, if it makes sense, right? And for example, then the test automation text is displayed on the screen. You can create, for example, a method for checking if the text, whatever is the text, is displayed on screen. And you can just make some kind of a logical thing to check if the text is is on the screen. Okay. Well, you can do this with all the things here, all the data that you are working in your BDD is going to be based on your analysis, right? So let's check here if I just have to say another thing for you about the BDD, about how to create a BDD. Well, I think that's it for today, and I think that yeah, I think that's it. And thank you for watching. If you want to receive more content like this, I hope that this content is good for you, right? This is just my first live session here on the channel, and I hope you like it. If you want to receive more content like this, please subscribe to this channel, right? My name is Custodio. Thanks for watching. Bye. See you in the next live session.